It's Uvalde Radio. I am Robert McGill, and we are getting you ready for a awesome fall concert season at Graff 7A Ranch up the way in Hondo, Texas. They've got the 7-acre maze. They've got the bales of hay that you can jump around on. Those corn poppers, they're like giant balloons that the kids just go crazy on. They've got a hayride for all you high school kids that like that kind of thing. But my favorite part, as I always say, is the live music in the dance barn. And one of the artists performing last week was opening weekend, but this is opening weekend for live music at Graff 7A Ranch, and performing Sunday, Chuck Wimer on the phone right now. What's up, Chuck?
Hey, how you doing, Rob?
So, Chuck, man, where are you checking in from right now?
So currently I'm in San Antonio, and that's just, the day job stuff, but we're living out in Lytle now. We decided to move out there, get some land, get away from the city, and, make a little bit more, prettier scenes to be able to write with and get some more music going.
Now, from what I understand, you are a family man, married with a couple of kids. Give me that background.
So I've been married for just about 23 years now. I've got 2 daughters, and we adopted my son when he was 1 year old, so I've got a total of 3 children. And 2 of them have already graduated, and they've moved out of the house, so now we just got the little man who's turning into a little football star.
Well, let me say this, man, because obviously you guys have a big heart, because I've got a few kids. I can barely handle the ones I made, much less taking on somebody else's DNA. So that is absolutely admirable, man, because I think I'm a conservative. I think a lot of us are very pro-life, but, the criticism is, hey, what about when they're here? I think it's wonderful when people can step up and say, you know what, we're going to take in, these children and raise them, despite, somebody else maybe, leaving them aside. So very cool, man. I did not know that about you, and that's absolutely admirable, man. Very cool.
Oh, yeah. He's awesome, too. It's they say that, children, they take on whoever's around them.
Uh-huh.
People mistake him for being my biological son all the time, which is just fine by me. But, yeah, he's amazing. He's an awesome little guy, and he absorbs everything.
Tell me this. I mean, I don't really know many people who adopt, but does he know he's adopted? Is that something that you guys talk about freely with them, or is that something you're kind of holding to?
Yeah. We actually celebrate Adoption Day, so
nice.
We wanted that to be one of those things that as he was growing up, because some kids they'll target the things that hurt to bully you with, and we wanted him to be ready when that day came. With your parents got stuck with you, but mine chose me. So
right, and what better way than to celebrate it, annually? That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, again, we're talking to Chuck Weimer here. He's performing Sunday. I guess it's an afternoon show, about 2 to 5 p.m. at the Dance Barn at Graff 7A Ranch in Hondo. Now, you're a relatively, kind of a newcomer to the Texas country music scene. We have got your brand new single in rotation now. It's really cool. It's called Take You Anywhere. We're getting good response on it. Now, let's go ahead, and before we get into the current music, let's talk about your background as a musician. What inspired you? When did you start? And, what are those influences and all that stuff?
Yeah, so I was inspired because my dad and my mom, they had separated when I was young, and I found out that he was a musician. Since I didn't get to see him a whole lot, it was a way for us to connect.
Mm.
So I started writing music when I was young, and it's nothing sad. We had, everybody was kind of, cordial and everything, so I wasn't missing out too much, but they were just on opposite sides of the country. One was on the East Coast, one was on the West.
Nice.
So I started writing music just as a way to connect them. Whenever we were together, we'd have, that shared quality, and that was mostly just being a lyricist. And then I started learning guitar, and then I started putting, everything together, and actually made it and became a songwriter instead of just a lyricist. And then, and so I started playing in the church when I got a little older. Did the military thing for 13 years. I was in the Army, and didn't do a whole lot of playing out there, just kind of campfire stuff. Mm-hmm. And then after I got out of the Army, I just started putting a lot more into music and playing in the church. And then this past year, I started doing the Texas country scene, where I go out and I play in Fredericksburg or Sister Dale or wherever they let me come out right now. And we're having a good time. We're having a lot of fun with it. We're and by we, I do a solo act, so but the we is me and my manager, my wife.
All right. Well, now, as far as the old days, I guess, with your dad and those formative years, what kind of music were you guys jamming to? What was the influence as far as the musical style that formed what you do today?
So most of it was, he liked a little bit of the older style country, and I was in the 80s, 90s country.
Okay.
And then every now and again, if you listen to some of my songs that when I write them and just put them out there just for fun on YouTube or whatever, you can hear some of the pop and the funk influences, not funk, the punk rock influences that would come out, because I used to listen to Blink-182 and Green Day and all that stuff too. So,
all right, 90s kid, very cool.
yeah, I got a weird mix that goes into it, but it gives me a sound that's almost unique just to me, and it kind of crosses the border of this new country that's going on right now, and the storytelling that I like to do, which was inspired mostly by Chris Ledoux and some of the older Garth Brooks songs and stuff like that.
So now, obviously, you've been a musician kind of in the making for a while now. Here, recently, you decided to embark on a recording career, and what happens but COVID. So let's talk about, I guess, the obstacles of becoming a recording artist and releasing a single to Texas radio in the midst of a pandemic. How has that been for you?
Honestly, it hasn't been terrible. I'm still working, throughout the week. So the job that I'm in, I was lucky enough not to be sent home and told, you got to stay home.
Very good.
In one of those jobs that kind of keeps you at work. But during COVID, there's been a number of opportunities for musicians, live streaming on Facebook, or people having to change their pricing and everything because they just aren't getting anybody in. So it's all kind of worked in my benefit a little bit. I hate to say that because it's such a terrible thing.
Sure,
COVID's out there right now. But there's been opportunities, and you got to look for them. Like, there's been major advances. I know the guy that I'm working with over at Stone Creek Studios out in Helotes. He's got this new thing for his system where he can basically everything. There's no latency. There's no lag. So he can record with somebody in Nashville right now as if they're sitting in the same room.
Wow, so, that is crazy.
So, yeah, the advances are crazy. And I'm actually the guy who's doing the guitar work on my studio stuff is Matt Zavala, and he's tearing it up. So I'm lucky enough to have a Nashville guitarist who's putting all the tracks down for the new songs that I'm putting out.
Well, it sounds like you're blessed, and like you got a good thing going on. Now, speaking of blessings, you mentioned you did some work with the church. Are you still working, in like a praise and worship kind of capacity currently?
Yes, sir. Myself and Katrina, we co-lead the worship over at Living Faith Church on Marbach and 410. So every Sunday, if you want to catch a Jesus show, that's the place to go. We like to worship. We like to praise and get it all out there, and God gave us a gift, so we want to use that. We want to use that gift for His glory as well, and because anything that can be given can be taken away. So it's all just been a blessing for me. I got started a little bit later than most, and I want to make sure I give credit where it's due.
Well, amen. But how does that, I guess, your faith? How does that faith, I guess, affect your whatever you're working on now, or will it, affect your songwriting in the future? As far as that, kind of like I'm not saying you're going to be full on, Christian country like Curtis Grimes, but will it find its kind of a place, or will that kind of become obvious within the lyrics?
You can usually see it in my lyrics. You don't see a lot. I guess you can call it bro country, right? It's not talking about. I'm not trying to hook up in my songs. Right, yeah. You can hear that. Whenever I'm writing about relationship, it's actual relationship. It's not I'm trying to hook up with this person or that person. It's it's that lasting relationship that Christ was talking about. Love your neighbor and love your spouse and honor, and that's really what my music comes down to. It's a family music where you can have your kids out there and you're not going to have to say cover your ears. Which you can't say in a lot of the stuff out there. Yeah. But I also do write some Christian music as well. My pastor has accused me of being a psalmist, which I guess that's a good accusation.
Unless it's one of those angry ones. Some of them are pretty angry.
Yeah. Yeah, no. So we actually did one of the songs this last Sunday night where we did a night of worship where it was, one of the first song that we did, I wrote, it's called Big God. And then we do a lot of the contemporary stuff that goes along with it because we don't want to confuse everybody. But it's nice being able to have the worship team behind you, and they're like, man, we really like this song. And you're like, yeah, I'm not trying to do this for me at church, but all right, let's do it. And and then it's a fun little jammy song. So,
well, man, I really dig what you're all about. I mean, obviously, serving in your church, serving your God, and serving your country. You mentioned 13 years of service, so thank you for that. Thank you for your service. I don't think we say that enough. But from what I understand, spoiler alert, Ken over at Graff 7A Ranch told me that you have a kind of a cool song you do for the veterans. Give me some information about how that stuff is kind of also permeated into your work.
So you heard about the 22 days, the push-up challenge, where they're trying to bring attention to the post-traumatic stress disorder and how veterans are taking their own lives, which is a really sad thing because people really don't know how to deal with what a veteran's gone through. A lot of people are like, well, you should get over it, or, you should go seek help. But one of the challenges is you can't really explain what it is that you experienced when you were in the worst possible situation in your life, because the human body and the human mind it adapts to things, but it adapts to it in a way that is self-preserving. So I wrote a song after I came back from Iraq called Over Here, and it kind of discusses the way that I felt and the way that I felt that people were reacting with me and not knowing how to react with me. So it's, basically the gist of it is when you're over deployed into that combat zone, it feels like they don't want you over there. And then when you come back, it kind of feels like they don't want you back over here. And then you can't really explain it to your family because you don't want to freak them out. So, in the writing, it's a little bit more subdued than that, but that's basically the gist of the song. And I kind of wish that people understood.
Is that something we might be able to hear Sunday afternoon at the ranch?
I'll be playing the acoustic version of that one, and then probably around November of next year, getting close to November of next year, that's when we'll be putting that one out on radio and everything as well. That one's in the studio right now. I just got to go in and put my vocals down on it. But that'll be one that comes out for radio next year and for streaming. But I play that at all my shows and a number of others. But we really like that song. That's one of probably the better songs that I've written in the past, I'd say, 5 years.
Wow, very cool. Well, again, we're talking to Chuck Wimer here. He's got a brand new single called Take You Anywhere. We're going to get into that here in a minute. We'll talk all about the new single. But first, let's go and talk about the future as far as recording, any touring. I know we're still kind of in the midst of pandemic, COVID stuff. What's your plan here the next, as far as recording and releasing music?
As far as recording and releasing music, so I think we're just going to continue the push with Take You Anywhere for the rest of this year. And next year we're going to put out, it looks like we're going to do 3 more songs that we're going to put out to radio. I've already got one in the pocket, really cool song called I Will. It's a love song, but it's a little bit different than your average love song. I always say that country music has cheating songs. It has the cheated on songs, but nobody ever writes that song about the third guy who just kind of got stuck in there.
Oh, nice.
So
okay.
I wrote his song, and it's called I Will. And you can hear that out there at Graff's as well. We'll be doing that one. But that one's already in the pocket. I'm just waiting for the right time to release that one. I think we're going to do that early next year. And then we'll have 2 more coming out next year. But as far as what I'm doing as far as moving around and playing out right now, I was fortunate enough, I've booked most of October. So I think the only weekend I have in October is like Halloween is the only one I'm not doing anything.
Wow. Well, it's nice to see things ramping back up again. So that's very cool. Hey, so as far as releasing of music, are you embracing more of the digital approach, single by single? Do you like to put out CDs? What's kind of your, what's your angle there?
So right now I'm looking at the single idea because, Blake Shelton, he's kind of doing his thing and he's being real successful with it. And one of the things he was pointing out is you don't really need to release albums because when you release an album, what are people going to listen to? They're going to go find that one jam that they really like and maybe 2. And those are usually ones that get cut as singles and go to radio. So I want to put my time and my focus into every time I'm going to put something out, I want it to be something that I think should be on radio. So I want it to be the best. I don't want people to have to sift through 8 songs to find their jam. I want them to be able to, look, Chuck put out a song. This is probably going to be as good as the last one, if not better. And that's my goal. We may end up releasing an album later on if everything keeps on going the way it is. But right now I think we're going to go with the single approach because I think it may be just a little bit a little bit better for the fans because they get to choose now. They're not stuck with having to listen to the P1 radio stations. You know, they can go and say, hey, I'm going to go over to Uvalde.net because I know they're going to play the songs I like. Or they can go and they can hit the streaming sites and say, well, I can just make my own playlist. And then they're going to put whatever singles that they like on there. So
Absolutely
I think that's the route we're going to take.
Either way, as long as you're cranking out the new music, I'm sure the fans will just love it. So, again, we're talking to Chuck Wimer performing this Sunday afternoon, 2 to 5 at the Graff 7A Ranch over in beautiful Hondo, Texas. Go to graff7aranch.com for more details about that. And, Chuck, what's your website? Where can we find the best information on you online?
The website, www.chuckwimermusic.com. And, of course, you can go Chuck Wimer Music on any of the socials, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, any of those, and you can find me there as well.
Well, now, before we play the new single, let's go ahead and talk about it. The track is called Take You Anywhere. Let me know about the inception, the recording, and then, what it's about, any information you want to give us about your debut single to Texas Country Radio.
So Take You Anywhere, man. That's the happening song that we had when we went into the studio. It's all about just getting on the road with that person that you love, and it doesn't matter where you're going. You're just having a great time. You're going to go out there, and we're just going to count down to it. We're going to go out and we're going to do the thing. It doesn't matter. We can go east. We can go west coast. It doesn't matter. We're just going to go. And if other people show up, then all the better. I mean, that's even in the song too. So it's just really, really fun, interesting sound that Matt decided to put on there for me, and I fell in love with it. And we just went with it. It's really good.
I do have actually one more question before we wrap up and get into the song, because I didn't really talk about this. As far as the live show goes, and you mentioned you're kind of more of a solo guy, but in the studio, the guys you record with, do you have any local guys? Do you have a band that you want to potentially put together? Do you see kind of a band version of what you do, or are you more of a hired gun kind of guys?
Yeah, so I am looking at putting together a band right now, just because a lot of the dance halls, it's not an acoustic act-friendly environment. And I want to be able to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to get out there, because a lot of the songs are dance-worthy when they come out of the studio, but it needs a band to be able to really give that push. You got to feel that kick drum in there. You got to feel that bass. So I'm looking for 3 people. I'm looking for a bass, a lead, and a drummer. And when I find the right ones, then you can start to plan for the actual band to be out there and doing the whole thing, because I fell in love with that. I don't know if I'm sorry, I'm just going to go off on a different direction here, but if you're familiar with Steve Davenport's group, I fell in love with playing in a band in front of people. That's where I actually decided, okay, I'm going out and I'm doing this thing, because they took me down to Honda one time, put me up on stage, and I was like, well, this is it. So the band idea is definitely where I want to be.
Well, man, you should have no problem filling those spots, because, you're a good guy, you're doing a good thing. So, yeah, who wouldn't want to jump on board? Sounds like a good deal. Again, Chuck Wimer here. Thank you so much for your time, man. We'll see you Sunday afternoon, Graff 7A Ranch in Hondo. Again, showtime is like 2 to 5. And, again, go to chuckwimermusic.com for more information. And let's go and get that new single. It's called Take You Anywhere. This is Chuck Wimer. This is UvaldeRadio.net. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Robert.
I'm in my Ford and we're heading down the coastline, just having fun in that Carolina sunshine. Ain't got no worries, cause we're out here on vacation, tent in the back so we don't need reservations. Just getting started on our weekend in the sun, and it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Girl, we still got time to spare, east or west, yeah, I don't care. Come along and feel the wind blow through your hair. I'll take you anyway. Sundown's coming and we pull off of the highway, chill in the air and you slide on over my way. Bonfire's going as I'm finishing the campsite. Got a feeling this is gonna be a good night. Camper strolling into joining on the fun, and it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Baby, we already know anywhere we wanna go. We don't have to plan, just get out on that road. Girl, we still got time to spare, east or west, yeah, I don't care. Come along and feel the wind blow through your hair. I'll take you anyway. Break of dawn and it's quiet as a ghost town. Body spread out like the morning after Jonestown. Sneak away, don't wanna wake nobody up. 240's blowing as we take off in my truck. A stop for breakfast and we're back out on the run. And it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.